It's done.
What do you mean, done? Well, answer me, Ape! Why are you giving up?
The fact is, I don't see the point in fighting you anymore. So go crawl off someplace and hide. I don't really care.
Simian bastard! I am Lord Frieza. None surpass me. No one even comes close. Etch this into your skull. I am Emperor of the Universe. The likes of you are only fit to grovel at my feet. Or better still, to die in disgrace at the hands of your master! You fool!
What's up guys, it's Naval and welcome back to my Dragon Ball scaling, more specifically Dragon Ball Z. And if it's your first time showing up for this, I recommend you watch some of my old videos. And today I'm covering the anime continuity of Dragon Ball Z. I'm going from the little Raditz arc all the way up to Frieza. As usual, I'll have a tier list up so you can see where I visually place characters. It's already been a pretty long intro, so why don't we just get into it? We start with some new characters in G tier, mainly the Demon Trio. Contrary to popular belief, the Demon Trio and the Garlic Jr. characters are all canon to the anime continuity. And you can argue the legitimacy of the movie pamphlet power levels, but according to the movie 6 pamphlet, they have power levels of 350. And this is surprisingly consistent with the Raditz saga scaling, as in the Raditz arc, Piccolo in his weighted gi has a power level of like 322, and then they're entering that kind of 400 range against Raditz. The Raditz era Piccolo and Goku both had power levels in that like 400 range. To be specific, 416 for Goku and 408 for Piccolo. Also, it's confirmed they've both trained since then, Piccolo literally training to beat Goku, so they are stronger than their previous counterparts. Chaozu is the only Saiyan Saga character who doesn't quite make it up to that Raditz level of power. He has a power level of 610, so he could likely beat Goku and Piccolo. However, he is still weaker than Goku's Super Kamehameha against Piccolo. But the Dodon Ray is confirmed to be better than the Kamehameha. I don't know about the Super Kamehameha, so I'm still gonna say that Chaozu's better. After all this time, we finally made it to F tier. Yajirobe in the Saiyan Saga has a power level of 970. Gohan in the Saiyan Saga has a power level of 981. Biomen have power levels of 1000. Mr. Popo has a power level of 1030, so he's slightly above a Bioman. I think people forget that Mr. Popo is kinda cracked because of his appearance, but this dude is honestly really OP for no reason. Cybermen have power levels of 1200, aka not as strong as Raditz, but also significantly stronger than the Piccolo who blew up the moon. And depending on how you interpret Garlic Jr. and his power level, that could mean that Cybermen are low universal, not even joking. Sui is here to represent the average Frieza soldier. The average Frieza soldier literally laughs at the concept of a power level of 1000, but lose to a power level of 3000 or higher, so they're just arbitrarily strong. Enraged Kid Gohan has a power level of 1307, and Garlic Jr. has a power level of 1450. However, this is where scaling gets interesting, as Garlic Jr. with that power level can create, control, manipulate, etc., a little like hyperspace black hole thing, meaning Garlic Jr. is just like randomly universal this early on in the series, which has insane implications because he's canon, and when Raditz shows up, they're like, we've never seen someone as powerful as Raditz. So it's debatable, but as early as before Raditz, you could argue characters were universal. The common argument against this is that hyperspace means something different in fiction most of the time, but to me, I think it's a literal hyperspace, as in Dragon Ball, they often use complex terms and scaling for the universe. I'm basically saying I think the writers understand what a hyperspace is and are using it in a literal sense. Especially considering whenever the dead zone cracks open or something, it is very similar in art style to when Arale like breaks through time. So if you really wank, just kidding. But this also means that Yamcha with a power level of 1480, yes, that Yamcha might be universal. And what's even crazier is Raditz, the low-level Saiyan with a power level of 1500, is universal. So Frieza just has low-level soldiers running around with the power to like destroy universes. Apul is a member of Zarbon's team and did better against the warrior Namekians than anybody, so he should just be above Raditz to some extent, but we don't really know. Krillin in the Saiyan Saga has a power level of 1770, and Tien has a power level of 1830. Even while suppressed at the start of the Frieza Saga, Gohan and Krillin had power levels of like 1500, and in the filler there's this random stone golem guy who can fight both of them at once. As stated before, the Namekian warriors that fight the Frieza soldiers have power levels of around 3000, Saiyan Saga Piccolo being slightly above this with a power level of 3500. King Kai has the same power level as Piccolo, but if you think he has the Kaioken, which he probably does, he'd be much stronger. Nappa has a power level of 4000 and is casually playing around with a bunch of Raditz tier level threats. Miso Katsune is a power level of 4300, and the only power level we have for Mori is like 5000, which is good enough for me and remains pretty consistent based on how strong other Namekians are. Kishime has a power level of 7000, Ebi Furia has a power level of 7500, Lakesai has a power level of 7600, and his twin brother has a power level of 8000, which is the same as base Goku in the Saiyan Saga. Days is slightly above this with a power level of 8400, and Amond is even above this with a power level of 9100. In D tier first, we have the Namekian warriors who attacked Frieza, who each have a chunk of about 10,000 as their power level. King Vegeta's power level is at least 10,000, as a 10,000 power level is an elite Saiyan level. After getting their potential unlocked by Guru, Krillin and Gohan had power levels of 14,000 and 13,000. Kakao also has a power level of 13,000. Kui and Saiyan Saga Vegeta are tied, both having power levels of 18,000. Goldo also has a power level of around 18,000, but he actually might be a tier higher due to his hacks, as the Ginyu Force are considered the most powerful warriors in the universe, not including Frieza, but by power level alone he's around right here. Dodoria has a power level of 22,000. Zarbon and Ginyu Goku both have power levels of around 23,000, and going by the common domination theory for power levels, Vegeta after his first Zenkai would be about 33,000, with Monster Zarbon being even above that. And if you compare Chaozu to Yamcha and Tien during their King Kai training and take into consideration the way he beat up Goldo, he should be about here. This actually might be the most debatable character on the entire list, but I really don't know what to do with the second Zenkai Vegeta. Because based on the power level domination theory, he should have been 33,000 back then, but now he's got a Zenkai and he's only slightly stronger than Zarbon. And the Ginyu Force make a comment report about how he's approaching 30,000 as a power level. I don't know, it's confusing, but my math just might be wrong. Either way, Goku during the Saiyan saga with his Kaioken times 4 would be about 32,000, and Dr. Wheelo is actually above this with a power level of 39,000. Most people kind of imply that the Ginyu Force is in that 40,000 range, which is kind of backed up by how Recoome dog walks Vegeta and the gang. Also, Jace thought he was still superior to the Vegeta who had that 30,000-ish power level, but Captain Ginyu thought it was believable for someone like Birder to get beat by someone with a 60,000 power level, so they should just be around the 40,000 mark. We kinda just assume that Nail is above them with a 42,000 power level. Okay, now we're getting into some heavy hitters in B tier. Unironically, Yamcha is pretty tough. Assuming that Recoome had a power level of, let's say, 45,000, then via the domination multiplier, Yamcha would have a power level of 67,500? Funny enough, Krillin is still above this with a power level of 75,000. And Tien should just be far above both of them, as he, when he split himself into the two clones, was able to fight Jace and Birder at the same time. Meaning weaker versions of Tien can still beat Jace and Birder. Goku, after his gravity training, had a power level of either 90,000 or 80,000, I'm not quite sure. But it doesn't really matter, as it's immediately surpassed by Ginyu, who has a power level of 120,000. A hypothetical full-power Great Ape Vegeta from the Saiyan saga would have a power level of 180,000. By the time Frieza shows up, Gohan has a power level of 200,000. This is surpassed by Tree of Might Kaioken times 10 Goku, who has a power level of 300,000. In B+, we've got the tied Frieza and Vegeta at the start of the Frieza fight. Both have power levels of, I believe, 530,000. We are finally at A tier, and now we have like the low millions characters. Second form Frieza claims to have a power level of over 1 million. Enraged Gohan and Fused Piccolo can both beat him. Then third form Frieza can beat them. Vegeta's final Zenkai in the Frieza saga believes that he's stronger than third form Frieza and thinks he's the legendary Super Saiyan. Base Goku during the Frieza fight had a power level of like 3 million. If Turles went from 19,000 to over 300,000 from a single bite from the fruit, and then he ate another fruit, meaning bare minimum he's in that 3 million to 4 million, maybe 5 million range. I'm not a math guy, but still that's better than Goku. And then Tree of Might Spirit Bomb Goku just one-shot him. Before we get into the final two tiers, I'd just like to thank you if you've made it this far into the video. I'm nearly at 10,000 total views on my channel, and it wouldn't be possible without you guys, so from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Enraged Gohan was beating up a tired 50% Frieza. Kaioken Goku and 50% Frieza should be both at like 60 million, and Spirit Bomb Goku was arguably able to overpower an even stronger Frieza. Now for the final tier today. You probably know who's gonna be here if you've seen Dragon Ball, but let's go over it anyway. Max Power Frieza has a power level of 120 million, and Super Saiyan Goku has a power level of 150 million. Well guys, I guess that's it. There's not really much more in this series or franchise that I want to cover. There's nothing much left that I personally enjoy. What the hell is that? No.